Well, welcome to part 2 of painting kitchen cabinets. In this video, we're going to be going through how to sand, how to spray properly, and the tools and the equipment needed to complete that project. So if you missed the video on the tools needed to complete your kitchen painting project, you can click on the link in the upper right-hand corner of the video. And as we move on, we're going to show you what to do here. So the first step that you're going to want to take is sanding your doors. This by far is going to be the most important thing you can do. You don't want to skip this step and you don't want to do it wrong, because the way you sand your door actually creates the adhesion. So as you shoot the paint on the surface with your sprayer, if there's a profile your paint's going to want to grab, it's going to have little micro teeth to grab onto. If you don't sand it proper and it's smooth, it doesn't matter how good your primer is or what primer you use, it will not grab. I want to say that again. It doesn't matter how good your primer is or what primer you use. If you do not create a proper profile, it will not grab. As we jump into sanding the cabinets, again, if you go back to the tool video, if you missed it, I recommended that you use a square sander. Square sanders are important because if you look inside these crevices of the door, there's going to be square profiles. It's pretty rare if you have a rounded profile, and most of these surfaces are going to be a flat surface. Now, this door we've already sanded. One of my guys ran through the entire kitchen and we sanded all 55 doors. I will show you quickly though how to sand these doors and my technique. It doesn't have to be too long per door. You just have to make sure that you're checking for the shine. So a good way to do that is if you have your spotlight, which was recommended in the tool video, you can hold your door sideways and you can check for shine. A little bit in the background of the door, not a big deal. But the general overall door itself needs to be shine free. If you would start your sander, I like to have my vacuum attached because as you sand, it's actually pulling the dust through the vacuum as you're going. You can do this with my favorite product called the Festool. A little bit more expensive. For you professionals, I would tell you this is a must. For someone who's just trying to do this on the weekend, you can grab a Milwaukee sander, a Milwaukee vacuum. I would probably recommend Milwaukee, they have great products. This is the best product though. So I'm going to show you as I sand, you're going to see no dust coming in the air. It's important that you catch all that dust, okay? So I'm going to start it up and show you the direction in which I like to take. So, as you can see, it's important to go over the entire surface to make sure that you've created that profile. And then after you've sanded, just make sure you hold it sideways on your light to make sure that there's no big areas of shine. You want to make sure that you have an even, chalky finish across the surface. Now that you've sanded your door and you've made sure that it's not a glossy surface, again, one of the most important things you can do, you're going to want to make sure that you remove all the dust from the surface. So even if you've done great dust extraction, you have a vacuum attached to your sander, you're doing a proper job, this tool here is going to do the next step that you need. You have to agitate the surface. So those brushes, as they're moving, are getting inside all the different corners of your door and grabbing all the dust. So you're going to turn your vacuum on with your brush attachment. It doesn't matter what vacuum you have. If you notice, I've taken my time to hit every single square inch of the surface. A lot of painters will use what's called a tack cloth. It's a sticky cheesecloth. I don't like to use those because I think that it creates a film on the surface and will actually collect dust rather than extract the dust. So, on to the fun stuff. My favorite thing, spraying. I love to spray, and if you learn how to spray the proper way, you're gonna love it too. The way I teach my employees, and I wanna teach you the same way, is that painting is 30% technique, 70% critical thinking. So if you have the 30% technique on how to spray, The actual spraying itself is just working your way through it. So what we're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna get maximum coverage on your outside edges. So we're gonna spray those first, because when you spray your edges, you're gonna overspray the top of your door. Now you know how much paint to put. There's a healthy point between too much paint and not enough paint. If I put too much, it's not gonna cure right. If I don't put enough, it's not gonna be strong. That's called mils. You have to put the proper mils. So I'm gonna show you the technique. We're gonna do the outside rim, then we're gonna run this way with a 50% overlap. What that means is, when you spray, if this is your pattern, you're gonna lap it by 50% because you wanna make sure you don't have any shy areas. After we've gone this way 50%, we're gonna go this way 50%. The reason why I do that is so that you get an even pattern across the surface. So that I can practice what I preach, I'm gonna turn on my extraction. Always wanna make sure that you stay dust free as you work. This is important not only for the atmospheric feeling of the job site. You don't wanna have overspray going through the air. It's also good for the drying of the paint. So as you have sprayed maybe 30 doors and they're racked and they're sitting, this can grab all what's called VOCs and pull them outside. That will actually help your door dry harder, okay? So we're gonna move on to spraying the door. I'm not wearing my mask for video purposes, but if I was spraying this kitchen and I didn't have a video on me, I would have my mask on, okay? So you can see as I go, I'm actually hitting the top of my door. You can't avoid that. Notice I have my clean shot, very important to spraying. So as you go, I don't want you to start in the middle of your door. I don't want you to start here. I want you to start on the outside. And as you go, hold your trigger, and when you get to the other side, then I want you to let go, okay? Just good practice. 50% overlap. Okay, now I don't have quite enough paint yet. So now what I'm gonna do, because you saw my speed going through it, is I'm gonna cross the other direction. That would be a complete door. And the reason why I have this underneath, you can see I caught about 95% of my overspray, and I have the fan working for me. We're keeping a clean work environment. That's gonna produce a quality door. And I want you to see this. I sprayed one earlier just for you. This is the door we sprayed at about, I would say 11 o'clock, and it's 2 p.m. Fingernail test. You're gonna be able to, I'm gonna get close to my mic. That's adhesion. That's adhesion. You have to have proper adhesion. If your primer doesn't grab, your finish will not grab either. Okay, but if you get this right, you can put whatever you want over the surface. So primer is an important step. Get your primer right, and then whatever your top coat is, be perfect. So that concludes our video on how to spray cabinet doors. Now this process that I used was for the primer, but you can use this process to also apply your finish paint, whether that would be a Benjamin Moore trim coat, or if you were to use a cabinet paint. That process that I showed you is from start to finish on both sides of the doors. Now we're gonna move on to our next video, which shows us how to properly dry our doors. If you found this video helpful, if you could click like on our video, it would help us out. And if you wanna see more future videos, you can click the subscribe button, or if you wanna leave a comment in the comments below, I'd be happy to respond to you. Thanks again for watching.